Oh,
Hey,
okay.
Amun,
There
can
we
you
are.
hear me?
There he is, looking good,
Hey,
looking
looking good.
good.
Sorry about the time. So we're normally 5 hours ahead of Eastern
Yeah.
time, but I think you
Yeah,
guys changed the time before us. So we were
we
like,
did.
I'll
It
apologies,
changed. It changed yesterday, and I got up this morning. I was like, I'm late for everything.
man.
Okay, dude, don't worry. We were late for this one, so you're perfect. Don't even worry. To us, you're perfect to us. Okay.
Yeah, that's exactly, man. Exactly. We've already started recording, man. You got a fight a few mere days away. How you feeling?
Uh, I, I know every fighter probably says this, but like I feel the best I've ever felt in my life. Like, I hit a new level this year as far as training, not just physically but mentally in martial arts over the years. Like we always try to get things to click, and this is like the first time I feel like everything is clicking from like mentally and physically and like skill set wise. It's just like gears fitting in. So I'm excited to showcase that in Miami next week or this week.
Well, yeah, I think we're like 5 days away. By the time this interview goes out, we're just a couple of days away. You're fighting in Miami for Jorge Masvidal's organization here, and this is the scary part. You're fighting some nameless guy from the steppe. He's from Kyrgyzstan here. What opportunities are you guys seeing in this matchup here?
All right. So I don't like to think of it as like a nameless guy. Everybody has a name, and
Right.
I think of it as just how people. If I was fighting over there, they wouldn't know me. The same way if he's fighting over here, we don't know him. So I could be
Right.
the nameless. I could be the nameless guy over there. But you know, I trust my team, and my team has done the research. And this guy might be nameless, but he's really fucking good. Like he has a kickboxing background, really good striking, and for me, the opportunity, like expanding my wings and fighting some people outside of the regional area, and now it's outside of the national area. So I feel like it's a step up for me because like every different country has a different style of fighting. Like you can wrestle in America, but wrestling in Russia and Germany and anywhere else is different. The same way you can do Dutch style kickboxing or you can do Muay Thai. Like it's still kickboxing and Muay Thai, but the rule set is different. So like I think it's a perfect opportunity to showcase my skill set against an international opponent who is going to provide a different set of problems than maybe what I've been used to seeing.
Yeah, he's got kickboxing experience, which is always nice to see because I love the sport of kickboxing. But you also
Yes.
have kickboxing. You've done Muay Thai and kickboxing in a cage, correct?
Yep. Yes, I have.
Awesome stuff, man. Tell us about this. What are you hoping to do with this matchup? Because you also are belted in jiu-jitsu. Like you're bringing a lot of qualifications into this fight.
Yeah. So that's always my biggest thing. So before I one of my good friends who's actually going pro came to visit me yesterday. He's also a 135er. So I've been pro a little bit longer than him. He's just now breaking pro, but we were kind of talking, and he was kind of hitting that note. Like I have a lot of different skill sets, and normally my skill set and how I fight depends on who I'm fighting. So it's like everybody for like thinks I'm a wrestler. They're like, oh my God, this guy wants to wrestle, take me down. And early in my amateur career, I had all these submissions, but not once did I shoot. I didn't shoot on anyone. Like I didn't go for any takedowns. It all started with my Muay Thai and kickboxing, and then people shot in on me. And then my skills as a purple and brown belt as an amateur were shown because people were taking shots. And it wasn't like I was catching like easy submission. Like, oh, somebody take a shot and I just got a guillotine. It was like, no, I take a shot and I just work my way on the ground. And because we're there already, like finishing the fights. And then as a pro, I got a little bit excited because I dedicated a lot of time over the past 6-7 years to wrestling. So like now I have the ability to take it there when I want to. So for me, it's really dependent on wherever my opponent's strong suit is. Whatever gives me the highest percent chance of finishing, that's who I become in the fight. Now, with that being said, adjustments happen. You could be doing this and it's not working. So now maybe I have to do something else. But I like the fact that this guy's a kickboxer, and not because I want to take him down and like submit him, but like I want to see what it's like fighting like my style of striking against a guy who has that kind of kickboxing. And so I had some things click this last month and a half, some things that I've been trying to do in striking for the past 18 months. And my last 3 weeks of sparring, I've been hitting all of them. And I'm like, oh, this is scary.
Do you feel like, so going off from that, obviously preparation is key for you. Remember a commentator mentioning, you like to read books, you like to game plan, you're very much prepared. Is there a lot that you've learned about yourself in this training camp, not just the opponent?
Always. So I'll give you guys a little bit of the backstory, like how we got to this opponent. So I do this segment on my Instagram called Words of Wisdom, and it came from a very like hard time in my life, kind of how I got into fighting and things of that nature. And it was kind of my little words to myself to keep me in the right path and stuff like that. So now it's become something that I do all the time. I read, I'm always trying to improve myself. And one of my words of wisdom the other day was the two best abilities you can have on the planet, not being strong, not being fast, not being knowledgeable, not being the two best abilities you can have on the planet are availability and adjustability. You can be the best fighter in the world. If you're not available to fight, who cares, right? You're not fighting, okay? And adjustability, you have to be able to adjust to the things that life are throwing at you, just the way the fight is. And this was not my first opponent. We had a whole nother opponent. We switched opponents about 5 or 6 times before somebody was willing to accept after the first guy dropped out. So I had a game plan. We had a whole camp to train for a guy, and then we get a guy with a whole different skill set. So now it's like, okay, now we got to adjust. And then they're like, oh, this guy can't do it. Now it's another guy. It's like, oh, another adjust. So now it's like, okay, you really get to see what these fights are like because you have a game plan, but you had such short notice that if you're not adjusting, if you're going off the last game plan, it could really hurt you against this guy. So it's going to be like fighting at its purest form. I don't know you, you don't know me. We essentially have a week and a half to just know what each other's kind of good at and adjust the game plan in a week and a half while you're trying to cut weight and get to the fight.
Just going by availability, because I like what you said, you like, being available, being available obviously opens up a lot of opportunities for yourself. How, did you have to adapt to that lifestyle to kind of always be available? Obviously that's a lifestyle that you got to adopt 24/7. Was that always there at the beginning, that discipline, or did you just have to develop it later on?
Now, discipline is a muscle that you have to work just like everything else. And every last person on the planet is disciplined. Let me tell you this, everybody's disciplined. The person who's 100 pounds overweight, they're disciplined. They're disciplined at doing the wrong things. They're not disciplined at doing the right things. So we have the discipline muscle, but it's just, we always flex it when we do towards the things that we want. So early in my career, I had 2 jobs and I enjoyed training and all this stuff. And I knew that it was going to be risky, but in life, everything is risk reward analysis. And it's like, okay, well, I got 2 jobs and I like training. I left one job so I could train more. And eventually I saw like martial arts having a much larger impact on my life. And I had to make that switch. And when I made that switch as an amateur, I didn't train as an amateur. As an amateur, I trained as a pro. And the day I knew I was going to go pro, I started training for pro championship fights because I said, I don't want to wait until I get a championship fight to be prepared for it. So I already started adapting the mentality as an amateur of, you got to be ready. You got to be available at all times. If I'm going to do this for a living, the most important thing is I'm in good mental and physical shape at all times. So like, I have to be ready to fight. And then I can't like, oh, I had a fight, let me take 2 months off and weight balloons up. And no, I'm a martial artist. This is what I do for a living. So after a fight, even my last fight, I got stitches. I was in the gym the next day. I just didn't do any sparring or stuff like that. And I'm still teaching and I'm in the gym at all times. So there's never a point in time where I'm not ready on short notice. Like they give me that first IKON call, 18 days notice. I said, bet, let's do it. And then I'm just in a position where I'm ready. I'm like, if I'm available, I'm ready to fight. This is what I'm doing. I had 15 canceled fights before IKON called over the course of 2 years. And what people don't know is if you look up my record, it's like, oh God, this guy's only 2-0. He fought twice in a year. That's once a year. It's like, no, I've been available. My opponents have been pulling out and not showing up and this and that. So like, I'm available. Let me fight.
Yeah, you got a storied amateur career though, man. You've got loads of wins on that. You know.
Yeah.
So
at eight fights as an amateur, one Muay Thai fight, and 7 MMA fights, and they were very, very, very good learning experiences, and fought some good guys as an amateur too.
And you said so many good things that I love to hear, and like we just typed out here, like this guy talks like a future champion. Like he's all the right pieces in all the right places of what you hear in what champions were saying. Like guys like Georges St-Pierre talked about, like, I'm not athletic, I'm not fast, I'm in the gym every day. That's what makes me different, right? So you were following that same path of all these other greats, right?
Yeah, that's essentially the story of my life. Like, I'm 5'7". I'm a little bit lighter now, but I walk around now a little bit heavier because I put on some. It's kind of the thing. I wasn't the strongest, I wasn't the fastest, but I used to walk around 150, 152, and I was like, I can't be a tiny 35er. These guys in the UFC are fucking massive. They're close to 170. And then after a 10, 12 week camp, then they're going down. So over the course since 2016, since I had my first amateur fight till now, my walk around weight's about 160. And people are like, oh my God, you're so strong, you're so this and that. And I was like, shit, that's a result of me doing strength training for 7 fucking years. Like, that's not what I did last year. This is a result of what I did for 7 years. And essentially every time I played sports or did anything, it's crazy. Now people say, oh my God, you're so athletic, you're so gifted. And I look at them crazy like, I'm not gifted or athletic. Like, I had to work for this shit since I was 12 years old. Like, I wanted to play football. I was slow and skinny, and like, okay, well, I had heart. I just know how to go hard. I know how to do that. But being hard-headed allowed me to build up the knowledge to then do everything the right way. Because as a fighter, you got to be hard-headed. You don't know the right way. You don't know how to cut weight. You don't know how to do this. That's why you have coaches in the team. But you have to be hard-headed enough to believe that I'm going to be the greatest motherfucker on the planet. Like, and I told my friend, they're like, oh man, I know, like, man, you can't wait to get to the UFC. And I was like, get to the UFC? I said, who's getting to the UFC? I said, I can't wait to dominate the UFC. Like, what are you talking about? It's like, if my goal isn't to be the best when I get there, then I don't even want to be there.
Oh, I fucking love it, man.
I love it. So good. Sorry, go ahead, Ash. Go ahead.
No, I was gonna say, so going by that, you know, it's easy to kind of people to say, oh, like, he's so naturally strong, because obviously going through your amateur career, you seem like you're muscling guys. There was one fight that I watched in particular. It was Andrew Giegrich. And the commentator he was saying stuff like, oh man, like, should he be exchanging wrestling exchanges with him? Like, you know, is that a good idea? Is this a good idea? And the next thing you know, like, you submit him. Were you doubted, like, in terms of the grappling department early on in your amateur career?
All right, so I'm not gonna say, all right, my head.
Say it. Give us that scoop.
So people mistake confidence for cockiness, right? And I'm extremely humble. I get humbled and humiliated in the gym all the time by those who are better than me. And my record might seem unscathed because there are no losses at the end of it in my amateur or pro career, but I've lost a lot all the fucking time against some of the best martial artists here in my area and in the United States, like, period. And you got to have that Michael Jordan mentality, like, kill or be killed. I'm the fucking greatest. I'm gonna go and do this. And I make demons out of everything. Like, I make opponents out of everything. I didn't know how to wrestle. So you tell me, as a 24-year-old adult male, I started wrestling with high schoolers, getting my ass whooped because I don't know how to wrestle. I had jiu-jitsu, but I didn't know how to wrestle. So I knew that this was a major part of the MMA game. So in 2016, I started wrestling, started going to high school, get with the coach. 2016. I didn't wrestle till 24, 25. Right? And I got with my MMA coach, and my MMA coach, me and my best friend, is also my head cornerman. He wrestled in high school. He teaches MMA wrestling. So we started getting to wrestling, and I knew that I was going to have to fight wrestlers. I didn't do what other people did. They avoided wrestlers. I was like, hey, I need to fight every wrestler on the amateur circuit so I can get ready when I go pro, because the pro wrestling, like, when they get people down, people ain't getting up, and then they're getting elbowed in the face. So I said, I need to attack this head on no matter how bad I am at it. I'm hard-headed. I don't like to lose. So I got good really quickly. And no one knew I wrestled. And the matchmakers kept pairing me up against wrestlers. And just hearing like the local circuit, like the people who knew the state, like in my state and surrounding states, like just give me no chance because this guy was wrestling. Really, I just made that my opponent. I was like, oh, y'all don't think I could do this? Y'all don't think I could do this? Watch me. So like, I'm petty in the best way. Like on all the MMA forums where they were like, oh, who's the top prospects coming out of these states? I screenshotted every last one of them and I put it in my phone. And my name wasn't mentioned in any of them as when I was 3-0 as an amateur. And they had all these other guys. So I looked up what my ranking was, and I was ranked like out of the top 20 as an amateur. And I was like, cool, my goal is to be number 1. And in 1 year, I went from like number 20 to number 2 or number 3. And I literally went up that list, who I got to fight. And then the wrestlers got better and better. And little did they know that I was getting better with my wrestling. So when they're like, Andrew Geigerich is 50-0, Amun shouldn't be wrestling with this guy. They didn't know that I was wrestling with other guys. And literally when we locked up, I was like, this guy isn't that strong and his technique isn't as good as people say he is. And then like he moved me and I just kind of moved him easily. And I was like, oh, I can submit this guy. So that was kind of it. But like in my head, like the wrestling doesn't scare me. I've beat wrestlers, I've knocked out wrestlers, and I've submit wrestlers. So like for me, I'm like, if your goal is to take me down to win a fight, that's not a good goal. Like if that's your success to victory, when we get down there, you don't just have to worry about submissions. You're gonna have to worry about elbows too. So unless you have like a Khabib style dominant game, then like at our weight classes, when you hold people down at 35, people aren't staying down. They're getting right back up. They're causing scrambles. Nobody, once you get under the 155 weight classes, how often you see somebody get taken down and ground and pounded and finished without them getting like stunned first. Like if I got knocked down and then you can get ground and pound, but nobody takes somebody down and just ground and pound finishes them. Yeah. Not at 35, 45, 55. Not that it's not possible, but we're so explosive and conditioning so good that the second you open up space to ground and pound, they're either attacking a submission or we're standing right back up. So if your goal is to take me down to win fights, good luck. Try not to get submitted. Try not to get knocked out on the way down there.
Absolutely awesome. I feel like there are so many moments where you've had in your fight career so far where it felt like you were crossing a certain threshold. But I think one thing, because when I was watching one of your fights, you got that cut that required stitches. You looked happy about that. You look like you almost like, I've earned this. I'm in the club now. Like, this is part of my career. Like, tell us, like, what's going through your head when you're bleeding all over your eyes and stuff, man?
The first time I ever got cut, the crazy part about it was like, it was a Muay Thai fight. It wasn't even an MMA fight. And the background part of that is my original MMA coach, he didn't fight MMA, but he trained at an MMA gym with Brandon Truth Vera and all these guys up in Virginia. And my coach is a Muay Thai guy, but he's not like so Muay Thai that he can't adapt my style to MMA. First thing he said is, I'm not making you me. I'm going to make you the best version of you. And we're going to use Muay Thai and the clinch and the sweeps and the elbows and the knees to benefit you. But you have great footwork and good boxing. So let's go ahead and lower the stance, do this, only use the kicks to do that. So he was like a wizard. He still is a wizard. He's coming with me to Miami next week. And like, he used to always tell me that he said, MMA guys aren't tough. He said, Muay Thai guys are tough. He's like, if you're in an MMA fight, somebody's beating you up on the feet, you have the option to take them to a cage, to take them down, to do this. And Muay Thai, if a guy is better at Muay Thai than you, then you're stuck.
Yeah.
Like,
I've heard this so many times actually, because you don't get a break. It's like
you don't get a break.
You know, like, oh man, I'm just gonna clinch him and start being a wrestler. Like, you don't have the option at all, man. It's like,
nope, you don't at all. So like that first time I got that fight, the first thing I was thinking was like, oh man, I hope the refs don't stop the fight. And then I guess a little bit of the blood came out. Like, two things normally happen when people see blood. They either freak out, like in retreat, or they like pick it up and go. And for me, seeing the blood was just like, I got to go get mine's back. Like, I got to go get it back. Like, at no point in time, the only like concern or fear that I had was that the referee was going to stop the fight. That was it. Like, it wasn't. And then when the blood was coming down my face. Mark Laws, who was the cut man for that show, he came to me, he says, "Oh man, you look even better than you did before." And I was just like, he was just trying to like, you know, like get me like to like calm down, but I wasn't freaking out. I was just kind of like, it is what it is. Like, you got to move on. And that's the thing about fighting. It's just like life. When life presents, Dustin Poirier said it the best. It's not adverse. It's not a fight until there's adversity. Yeah. And like, for me, I was winning a lot of my fights. I don't want to say easily, but with the game plans I was going in, we were executing to such a T that we made it look easy. And it wasn't easy. My coach says nothing's easy. It's simple. Things are simple, but nothing's easy. But like, it's simple to go in there and say, I have a game plan and follow it and execute, and then it looked easy, you know? So there weren't a lot of times where I was presented with adversity. So any little adversity, I would put myself in so much adversity in training camp. My coach would literally have to tell me, stop. He was like, I was like, hey, what more can I do? He's like, you're doing too much. Like, you're getting negative effects. You're breaking your body down. You're running extra miles. I have this crazy thing where I'm like, hey, I know my opponent is training hard, so I have to do something more in training camp than is asked of me. So one of my first amateur fights, when I had a full-time job, fought a really, really good guy. Look him up, Avamai. He was 2-0. I was 2-0. We fought, and I'm at my job. And I was like, we had 4 weeks to the fight. And I was like, I know he's training hard. I'm training hard. What can I do? I said, I'm going to do 10,000 push-ups just out of nowhere. And I was like, in the next 4 weeks, when people at my job think I'm crazy, I'm going in the back, just doing sets of push-ups. They're like, what are you doing? I said, my opponent's not working right now. I'm working. And so I was doing and it turned in from me going in the back to doing push-ups to a bunch of the guys I work with. It was like, hey man, everybody's back there doing push-ups to me. So like, and then so I just kept a little chart in my little book, because I worked at like an outdoor restaurant and like pool attendant. So we were outside doing chairs and towels. I would go in the back, do 20 push-ups, 30 push-ups, boom, take a quick rest, do another 20, 30, and I would just keep a log on how many push-ups I did. And then one day I hit like 1,300 something push-ups in a day. And I was like, yo, like I was just ready. Like when I first started, it sucked. I was like, bro, what are you doing? But I made a demon out of myself. Like I was like, hey, he's going hard and you're going hard. What's going to separate you two? So like the next training camp, I told my coach, I'm going to do 10,000 shots because I need to be better at wrestling. So I'm just going down the mat, shot. And he was like, bro, you're doing too much. You're going to fuck your knees up. Now it's going to be hurting in Muay Thai and this, that, and the third. So he had to tell me, pull back. Like, bro, chill out and you'll get more from it. And like, that's what I'm learning now is like, hey, less is more. I do more of the fundamental things. That way, the more I do it, the easier they become. But I'm not doing less. I'm just doing less different things, if that makes sense.
Yeah. I mean, obviously you push like a ridiculous pace early. I mean, what is your cardio routine like, man? Just for everyone out there, because like, if you guys watch his fights, yeah, he comes out super hard straight away.
Yeah, I don't like to start slow.
Yeah, definitely.
My thing is one of two things. Everybody says, oh my God, what do you do for cardio? Like, how many miles do you run? Then the second thing is like, oh, you don't get tired or this and that. That's like, look, everyone gets tired, but we all make a decision when we get tired. Are we going to keep going or are we going to back down? Right. And the only way to do that is to train that. Right. I do sport specific conditioning. Okay. But I'm going to give you a little thing that I've learned over the years. Right. So the brain has a lot to do with it, not just like mindset, but literally the brain. Like if you can be composed in chaos, you can be more efficient when you need to use energy. So my kind of philosophy is I start the chaos super early. I let this person know it's going to be a fucking fight from now till if it goes 15 minutes. And a lot of people, the second that you bring chaos, they do one of two things. They bring chaos too, or they back down. So the energy literally goes from ding, 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 whoop, and then it's like, hey, your adrenaline's high, the chaos is high, who can be composed in this chaos, because whoever can be composed can either see the opening to finish the fight or gonna outlast the other. And for me, I like to say, I get a crazy warm up in the back. People think like I'm working out in the back, getting ready for a fight, but I like to get my body already like 80 miles an hour. I don't like to like start, so I get like 80 miles an hour. So I figured if we're going on the highway on that on ramp, you got to do what? Speed up so you can be the same speed as everybody else on the highway. So I'm like, hey, look, when I get in that fight, I'm already at the highway speed. So if you don't match my speed, you're fucked. If you match my speed, then maybe that you'll hit your adrenaline dump, or you'll not be as composed in the chaos. And that plays a bigger part in your conditioning than running the miles, running to this, running to that. So I read books, right? So Jim Quick has a book called Quick Learning, and it's on learning how to learn, because we're not taught how to learn. And he's like, one of his friends is a neurologist, and he says the brain in weight, it weighs about 1 to 2% of your total body weight. So let's say I'm 150 pounds now. Let's say my brain weighs 3 to 4 pounds, right? But it consumes 20% of your body's energy. So think about that. And a sport where I'm using my whole body, tense and relax and run and explode and move and head and this and doing all this. If I start overwhelming myself with thoughts like, oh, this guy's coming. Oh shit, he won't stop coming back. And I'm consuming 20% more energy than if I'm just like, boom, I'm feeling shit out. Even if I'm going fast, I can feel things out. So it's like, if you put that into effect, you're conditioning. Like if you're overthinking and it's chaos and you're using your body, your adrenaline's high, you're fucking conditioning. Like if your bar was this big, just starts to close in, close in, close in. And then for me, I'm looking for signs of weakness. I'm looking for somebody to go, or I'm looking for somebody's eyes to go. Like, you know, as fighters, you kind of notice these things. And I noticed because I spar and I'm like, oh, I can see this in a sparring match. I can see this into that. I can see this in the best people who are good at hiding it are the ones who are composed. I have one of my favorite training partners, Chase Botwell. He doesn't get tired. And me and him go at it 5-5s all the time, wrestling, grappling, MMA. And we sparred like 2 weeks ago. Yeah, less than 2 weeks ago, like a week and a half ago. And we're sparring. And afterwards, we're sitting here giving each other our thoughts like, yeah, man, I was fucked up in this position. He was like, yeah, I was like this. And I was like, but you wouldn't have told. If you just looked at our face, it was like nothing was going on. Being composed in the chaos. But I guess a long thing to answer. That was a long way to answer like what my cardio conditioning routine is, but it's sport specific conditioning. If you want to be good at whatever sport, if I want to be good at MMA, I have to do MMA situational training, and then running and stuff like that helps open up the lungs. But I'm not 100-mile. I got to clock 100 miles on the bike, 100 miles on this. I get all my conditioning doing rounds of jiu-jitsu, rounds of sparring, boxing, kickboxing, MMA. And the most important is drill specific rounds, because drilling rounds are harder than live rounds. And what I do for me is I start in a bad position every time. So if I know I got a fight coming up, if I'm in jiu-jitsu, I'm starting from somebody on my back. So they already got a dominant position. So I'm starting in a negative, and that's how the roll starts. Or if we're doing positional training, somebody starts in mount half guard where they can ground them down on me. So the sense of urgency to get out is already high. And then I've been in that position so many times that you just get up. So if you looked at the last fight, when Alexander Shank hit me with that lat drop, he came with a big elbow. As that elbow's coming to land, I'm already standing up. I'm already getting up. Then we ended up in another scramble where I had him and he had me down, and I'm sitting on the cage and I'm just relaxed because I'm like, all right, cool. He's either going to try and secure my legs or he's going to try and hit me. And he's trying to secure my legs. He's not hitting me. So I could just relax here. It's no danger. So it's like being composed in those spots. And the second that I'm like, okay, well, he's not going to move, I need to move. And then when I move, he wanted to hit and I got up and then I got his back. So it's like, if you're composed in these spots, you can think clearly. But if you're just like, I got to get it, you're going to be fucked up, especially if I started the fight, because I'm starting at, we're going 100 miles an hour right at the gate.
I'd absolutely love to hear it. It's such a good answer as well. Like, that's what I'm looking for when I ask people questions. I don't care about the answer. I want you to tell me a story here. So we're running out of time here. We're running out of time. So I'll do a quick plug, and then I got one more question for you, and then we'll get out of here. Okay. So Friday, March 18th, catch our boy Amun. He is going to be fighting on Jorge Masvidal's IKON FC2. It is 8 p.m. Eastern time. Easy to watch on UFC Fight Pass. We all have Fight Pass or Pirate Fight Pass. Who gives a shit? Watch our boy. That's the most important thing. Before we go, tell us about Lunar Unlimited. What is the philosophy here? What does that mean? Tell us everything.
Yes. All right. So Lunar Unlimited is my company. My fight name is Amun Cosme. And I didn't want my fight brand just to be like, oh, it's for fighters. It's for everyone. All right. If you have a limit in your life and you're trying to break a limit, you're trying to test your limits, you're trying to push your limits, that's what essentially Lunar Unlimited is, right? Everybody says the sky's the limit. I said there is no limit. Okay. So like the motto, you shoot for the stars. If you fall short, you land on the moon, or vice versa. You shoot for the moon. If you miss, you still land amongst the stars. So essentially, this is my brand that helps me kind of just remind me every day of where I was when I first started. And, like you said, the balance of trying to the work, fight life, and all this other stuff. Now I have my own business, and I can, instead of work for someone else, work for myself and reap the rewards it took for 10 years of training of fighting. So for me, this is kind of a reminder to me and to anyone out there that has a limit on how you can break your limits, right? Lunar Unlimited, like space, it goes on essentially forever, right? So when you say lunar, you think of outer space, and it's like, hey, there are no limits, right? So in order to know your limits, you got to test your limits, all right? So after you test your limit, you know your limit. After you know your limit, all right, you can push those limits. And after you push those limits, you can break those limits. And essentially, that's what I want people to do with Lunar Unlimited. So like, I got some fire gear,
Links will be down below. All of your links I'll put down there.
So that's essentially in a nutshell what my brand is, right? That's what my brand is. Every day I say it's a good day to be alive, but an even better day to be great. So like, if you woke up, no matter what condition you're in, mentally, physically, mentally or emotionally, if you got breath in your lungs, you got a fighting chance. So that's why I say it every day. All right, it's a good day to be alive. And if it's a good day to be alive, who wants to just be good, right? Go do something great, something spectacular. All right. And it has nothing to do with other people seeing what you're doing. If you're a family person, be great for your family. If you're a person that works hard, be a person that works hard. But like, you know your limits, and you know what you need to do and what you're not doing. And sometimes greatness is a lot closer than people think, but they think it's so far away that they never really try. And like, if you give up without trying, you never really, you failed before you even started. So just get up, get to the grind, whatever that is. You.
It's amazing, man. Thank you so much for your time, man.
Yes. Thank you guys for having me. I really do appreciate it. And you guys got to keep me posted when this comes out so I can share it and let everybody know.
100%, man. What we'll do is we'll get this sent out as soon as possible, because your fight's just around the corner. So I'll probably start working on it tonight. All right, man. Thank you so much, man.
Thank you. Hey, go. You already know you have the links. Go cop some Lunar Unlimited. I need to make it to that.
Man.
I need to make it to that side. And if I come over there to that side of the world, y'all got to show me what to do, because I love to travel. So training's number one. 100%. Training.
Bye, man.
All right.
I love it.